There are millions of people out there in the world, and each and every one of them have their own style, passion, and personality. Here at Garmin, we try to develop products that will appeal to an individual, no matter their interests. The Instinct 2 series covers a wide array of uses, and as a GPS smartwatch is quite unique in its own right. Earlier, we sat down with Todd and Mike from our industrial design department, who were part of the team that designed the Instinct 2 series.
My name is Todd Register. I'm the creative leader for our adventure watches here at Garmin. And my role for Instinct 2 was really laying out a vision of the design language and how we wanted to accomplish that throughout the entire design process.
My name is Michael Solio. I'm an industrial designer here at Garmin. I've been working here for 7 years. And for Instinct 2, I was the lead designer.
I think for our inspiration for Instinct 2, we really focused on the users. I think the best place to start is always the environment that it's used in. If you think about the Instinct lineup, all the way from the desert to the ocean to mountains, that really helps us set a design language and a feel when we start our design process. Yeah, for Instinct 2, we wanted the watch to feel like an extension of your personality. So really, I think when we look at the entire lineup, there's so many different types of users that we see with the Instinct. And the watch, we want it to feel customizable and each type of Instinct to have its own personality that really matched the user that it was designed for.
I think in the past, that's something that's been done through colors and features, and I think with this watch there was kind of a special opportunity to really give it a physical face and change each watch, and as you mentioned, kind of really focus it for the user.
Yeah, and I think an important part of that was that the Instinct watch has to pass all of our testing from water to shock to thermal, and starting with a core that passes all those tests, and then we build on top of that. A lot of watches, you're limited to maybe your watch face or a band that you can change in or out, but with Instinct 2 we were able to expand that much further to the actual form of the watch through the bezel design, through the different bands and graphics, and take that a step further than just maybe what your watch face might be. Another design goal for us was to create a watch that fit a much wider range of users. And we saw that we have a lot of female customers, younger customers that use our watches. So we wanted to make something that really fit into their lifestyle and just blended in with them. And to do that, we had to make a smaller watch. So Instinct is 45 millimeters, and Instinct 2, we have the 45 millimeter size, but we also have a new 40 millimeter size, which really brings that perceived bulk on your wrist down to something much more manageable when you take it out on your adventure, and it just kind of seamlessly blends in for those people with smaller wrists now.
Yeah, I definitely think for the 40 millimeter one, the main challenge was taking that kind of rugged appearance that you'd have with the 45 millimeter version or the original Instinct and putting it on a smaller body. So keeping it sleek, still simple, but ultimately a rugged watch in a smaller form factor, I think, was the key.
Yeah, and there's a lot of technical things that we had to overcome as far as taking that same technology. Just because you're buying a smaller watch, that doesn't mean you want any less features. So keeping all those same features, but being able to shrink those down to a manageable size was a real challenge for us to overcome.
Absolutely. I think initially, at least aesthetically, one of the biggest challenges was just keeping that same rugged aesthetic without running out of space, because obviously space is very limited on that watch. We wanted to make it as small and efficient as possible, but still look very protective. And I think another aspect that we really worked hard on was the original Instinct looked great with these integrated bands. I think one thing we did for not just the small but the large version of this new Instinct was make it capable to use hinge bands. So it's smaller bands and ultimately more choices for the user to have bands on this watch.
Yeah, that lug to lug distance it was critical, and reconfiguring the battery in a way that allowed us to pull that dimension in so that it fit smaller wrists better was a big hurdle that we overcame.
Right. I think it all started on that standard version of the watch. Starting with that one, we really wanted to keep the same feel the original Instinct had, but elevate the design with just an extra level of refinement and consideration in different parts. Whether it's adding large geometric shapes on the bezel to help protect the lens, softening the buttons around the wrist for more comfortable use for the users, as well as smaller additions like the addition of the microtextures within the bezel and matching that on the buttons themselves. I think those things on that design gives the watch a familiar Instinct feel, but a new, fresh look. For the other SKUs, starting with the tactical version, I think the main key there was keeping it very sharp, almost stealth-like. Rugged look, we went for almost a machined metal-like look on the bezel itself, giving it that tough appearance. It also has these protective bumps on the 12 and 6 o'clock positions, giving it almost like a crosshair iron sight kind of look. So it might resonate well with those users. And again, smaller details such as the micro knurling within the bezel, keeping it rugged at first glance.
And then you contrast that with our Surf Edition, which has a much smoother form. We looked at the surf market and all the color blocking, bold color graphics, and worked those into the design in a way that really is attention catching, as opposed to something that's much more low key and stealthy.
Right. I think with that surf watch, we have a watch that's mechanically designed to survive the harsh environment of surfing. So we didn't think aesthetically it had to necessarily look that way. So as you mentioned, smoother look overall, and really letting the loud colors and high contrast give the watch its personality.
Yeah, I think the addition of the solar feature and the expansion of that played into a lot of different details, even the shape of the bezel, where we're thinking about how do we collect as much solar energy as we can and angling that bezel in a way that allows light to get in, when it's not just direct sunlight, but throughout the entire day, it's there collecting light and energy.
Right. And I think that kind of leads into like one of the bigger design challenges, as you mentioned, mostly the bezel. You want something that's there that can protect the lens as much as possible and cover it so it can protect it. But at the same time, you still want a lot open and available to take in that sun. So it's a bit of a weighing game on how much you want to cover and protect versus how much you want accessible for the sun.
Yeah, and I think one thing that is really important to note is that in addition to making the solar cell more efficient, we also made it larger on Instinct 2 in such a way that with only 3 hours of moderate sunlight, the user can now wear the watch in smartwatch mode indefinitely. And that affects a lot of different things as far as making a watch that's lightweight and comfortable enough to wear 24/7. While it's theoretically possible that they can do that, if you can't do that physically, then that's a problem. And so we spent a lot of time on adding fillets, smoothing the back surface and the inside parts of the band so that watch was it felt airy and effortless on your wrist, and really enabled the users to appreciate these huge gains that we've made with battery life through our solar technology. For me, the most fulfilling thing about designing Instinct 2 is really seeing our customers use it and seeing it out in the wild, seeing it out mountain biking or people using it while they're surfing. It's always a thrill for me to see people using it as it was designed to be used, and knowing that we're a small part of enabling people to enjoy their activities and really represent what they're passionate about in life on their wrist in a way that other people can see and appreciate as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I echo a lot of that. For me personally, just getting a chance to work on this watch. It's obviously the Instinct watch is a big watch at Garmin, so that was exciting in itself. But as you mentioned, getting to work on the different versions and editions of the watch that I think on Instinct 2 physically look like they're catered more towards the person and their passion. And I think that was an exciting part about that, because it was, I think, a little more catered in this version for those users.
Yeah, and I think watches are a special thing to work on because, you know, we use a lot of products in our daily life, but there's not a lot of products that you wear 24/7. From being something that's convenient, to something that's helping you with your performance and your activities, to your overall health metrics. It's something that, you know, you have with you all the time, and as a designer, it's an honor for, I think, both of us to be able to work on something that is so meaningful and personal to the people that we design it for. Yeah, I would just say the Instinct 2 lineup is really exciting. We're both super excited about it coming out. It's been amazing to see the Instinct line grow, and that's from the type of Instinct SKUs that we're offering with these different personalities we've talked about, from surfing to hunting to more of an urban camo, all these different colorways and these different sizes. There's just a huge variety now of Instinct that people can wear and enjoy across a multitude of activities. So we're super excited about it.
If you'd like to learn more about the Instinct 2 series GPS Adventure smartwatches, specifically on how it could assist you in your everyday life, be sure to check out the announcement video we published earlier. There's a link in the description below for you. Otherwise, that's all for now. I'm Matt with Garmin. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.